Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. Good morning to those on the Central and the Pacific time zones. For those following from Israel and Europe, we want to welcome you and wish you a good evening. Needless to say, it's been a very, very, very challenging last 12 hours. And we want to thank Major General Padan, right now is in Israel. Major General Padan, if you could give us an insight into what's happening, and please, we would love to hear your analysis.
Morning, actually, is the preventive of the retaliation of Hezbollah, of the assassination of Shukr, the second in command of this organization. Thank God Israel knew about the intention and about the plan. Not very smartly, Hezbollah picked the holiday of the Shia that occurred today, and with that and with other information, we knew that that's the plan, and the IDF, mainly by the Air Force, launched preemptive attack designed to thwart and disrupt the attack of Hezbollah that been built by two layers. The first layer were launching hundreds of middle-range and short-range missiles toward the north of Israel. We spoke about it last time. Parallel to that, they tried to attack few bases by drones, by UAVs. That didn't succeed. The attack actually hit few buildings at the north, at the city of Akko and in other places, and unfortunately, we lost a soldier from the Navy, Sergeant David Moshe Ben Shitrit, Zichrono Livracha, that been killed and hit by one of the missiles of the Iron Dome, unfortunately. That's happened when you're launching hundreds of missiles. And we'll check it, and the IDF will check it, and we'll try to see what went wrong there. But generally speaking, the two-layer didn't succeed. The 300 rocket that been launched, most of them didn't hit the target. Only a small percentage we tackle, or all the rocket fell in out of the bases in over 90% of the missiles. And when it comes to the UAVs, not like the small UAVs that we spoke about, that have very short range and can fly very fastly under the radar, literally. When it comes to drones, they have to fly to bases. What Hezbollah said north to Tel Aviv, said we didn't attack Tel Aviv, done equivalent between Tel Aviv and Beirut. Those drones are bigger. It takes them more time to fly over, cross the border of Lebanon and get to the target. And Israel been able to take all the 20 UAVs down before they got to the target. Some of them inside Lebanon, other over the sea, but no UAV hit base, no missile hit a base. And the only casualty we had is by our own missile, by the missile of Iron Dome. By that, in a way, Hezbollah did kind of framing to the retaliation of Shukr. Israel took advantage of the knowledge and hit over 6,000 I would say component, because some of it is missiles, some of it is rocket, and some of it is drone and UAVs, but it hit over 6,000 component that mostly located at the south part of Lebanon. Some of the target, without elaborate, hit strategic asset of Hezbollah. So Hezbollah were quite embarrassed by the ability of the IDF to know and to sabotage and to thwart and disrupt all these plans. In small window, I would say, without Shukr, the ability to plan is not that developed. Shuker was a very, I would say, key player when it comes to strategic planning and operational planning in Hezbollah. I would say another thing which is significantly important right now, because we are in a way in kind of I would say a strategic junction in the war against the eastern axis. While there is two directions. One direction is to go to kind of closure or regulation in the war, focusing in Hamas and continue with a limited operation against Hamas, mainly in Gaza Strip and partly in Judea and Samaria, while all the actors accept it as a kind of ceasefire and withdraw from their participation in the war. When I'm speaking about the actors, I'm speaking about the Houthis, I'm speaking about the Iranian, the Shia militia in Iraq and Syria, and definitely Hezbollah in Lebanon. That's one direction. The other direction is to go to a regional war, which will start against Hezbollah at the north, and can continue to even to Iran, definitely with the participation of and the involvement of the Houthis in Yemen, the Shia militia in Syria, which is partly Hezbollah himself, and the Shia militia in Iraq. And the real worry of part of the people of Israel, if we go to this direction, we're going to lose our ability to release the hostages alive. And we spoke about the priorities last time, and we defined between the most important thing in the war and the most urgent thing in the war. And definitely the most urgent thing right now is to release the hostages, because they don't have time. If you don't release them, you don't find how to bring them back to Israel, even 30 of them, all the other will come back and unfortunately will in
body bags.
Yes, in body bags, exactly. When it comes to the war, we have to make sure that Hezbollah are moving north to the border and cannot launch a ground attack like October 7 in Gaza Strip. And therefore, we'll have to find some kind of solution with Hezbollah, diplomatic or military solution. And when it comes to Hamas, I must tell you that, generally speaking, Hamas as a military of terror, or the structure of the military, are more or less destroyed. Last time we spoke about the last brigade in Rafiah. Rafiah brigade destroyed as a military of terror organization. Not all the terrorists have been killed. Not all the arsenal of rocket and explosive devices been destroyed. But as a well organized terror group, it's been destroyed. Israel right now focuses in Gaza Strip in three main challenges. First is to expose and destroy the tunnel that connects between Rafiah and Egypt, what we called the Philadelphia corridor. The IDF destroyed over 150 tunnels so far, and are still working. That's one thing. The other thing is to try to destroy and assassinate the what remained from the leadership of Hamas. I don't know if you heard in the news, Israel asked the people of Deir al-Balach, the south center of Gaza Strip, to withdraw from their houses back to the safety zone close to the shore. We're about to extend the operation in Deir al-Balach. So there is one operation in Rafah in the Philadelphia corridor, the other at the center. And the third one is to control the road to the old settlement of Netzarim, more or less along the Gaza River, and by that control and monitor the ability of terrorists go back to the north part of Gaza Strip and Gaza City itself. Those are the three efforts on the ground. Well, the goal is to release the hostages and to keep destroying Hamas as a military organization. We saw two things that can be translated in different way the other day or this morning. First of all, Hezbollah and Iran in a way send a message to Sinwar. We are not going to go to full war because of you. Maybe we'll find ourselves in full war because of other reason, but it won't be you. Move forward with the negotiation. That's a very important and strong message. It doesn't mean necessarily that he will accept it with his radical religious way of thinking, but that's a strong message. You could hear it from the leadership in Tehran that are speaking about limitation, about the importance of the negotiation. And you can saw it with Hezbollah that sends message all over the last few days that it doesn't want to go to full-scale war, that his response and his retaliation will be limited geographically, limited by picking target, and limited by the quantities of the component that you're going to use. That's important messages in very fragile period of time. And I won't take it for granted, but because war is a very fragile situation, but it's an important message that could push the situation in Gaza Strip to a different direction, and it's actually accelerate and energize the Qatarian and the Egyptian to push forward and to pull pressure on Hamas to accept part of the flexibility that Israel and the US showed the last few days. I think that it's important to verify or deliberate a bit about the Philadelphia corridor and what's important on the ground in Gaza Strip. Everybody speaks about the Philadelphia corridor. I would say that it's important to control Philadelphia corridor. But if I have to decide between to control Philadelphia corridor or to release the hostage, I definitely will pick to release the hostages. We will find a reason to go back to the Philadelphia corridor. We'll find a reason to keep on fighting if it's needed. The IDF, declare from the very beginning that it's going to be a long war, and Israel will be free to operate when it's needed if Hezbollah or if Hamas in Gaza Strip will try to rebuild his terror cells in a city or anywhere in Gaza Strip. So I think that definitely Philadelphia corridor is important, but it's not Jerusalem. You can withdraw from it and go back. And I would say another thing, just to give you a flavor or deliver the message. For years, we controlled the Philadelphia corridor while we have the settlement along the shore in Gush Katif in Gaza Strip. The fact that we controlled the Philadelphia corridor didn't allow us to block the smuggling between Egypt and Rafah and Gaza Strip, to really control the whole project of smuggling between the Egyptian side of Rafah and the Palestinian side of Rafah, meant to control both sides of Rafah, the Egyptian side and the Palestinian side. And slowly but surely, under the radar, we're moving forward with the understanding and the agreement between us, the US, and the Egyptian about how to inspect and monitor and control the smuggling along the border. And I put a lot of hope in this kind of effort. The other thing that should be mentioned is the importance of the existence of the US at the region. The US exists and present in the region like we didn't see it, I would say, since the war in Iraq. I don't remember when the US declared formally at the radio that it's sending a submarine in front of Tehran. Submarine, not like the fifth log, have one reason to be there. Submarine is not a defending tool. It's a tool that's designed to attack. And that's a very strong message. And I think this message are really deeply understand in Beirut and in Tehran. And, when we're speaking about the support of the U.S., about ammunition, and about the existence of the U.S., we have to say thank you to two things that the U.S. is doing right now. We've used success. We spoke about the first one, and the second one is to connect between the negotiation and the action on the ground at the Middle East. The Iranian actually use it because of the pressure of the U.S. and the pressure of other to get down off the tree and release themselves from the retaliation of the assassination of Ania inside Tehran. So if I have to wrap it up, Israel have very strong intelligence that expose the plans and what the Hezbollah is trying to do. Very smartly launch preemptive attack with huge success, destroying thousands of components, and sabotage the plans of Hezbollah to hit bases and to hit strategic bases at I would say south north or north center of Israel. We're still in kind of strategic action in the war. We spoke about the two direction, and we're all hoping for the negotiation to move forward, although it doesn't seem so the last few hours or the last day, but we should never lose hope.
Thank you, General Padan. We have a number of questions for you. You mentioned that Israel right now has destroyed over 150 tunnels. Are you referring just to Rafah, or are you talking about throughout the Gaza Strip?
I'm speaking about only tunnels that cross the border between Rafah, the Egyptian side of Rafah, and the Palestinian side of Rafah. Spoke about tunnels that used for smuggling between Egypt to Gaza Strip.
Okay. Second question is that there are reports in the press that right now, America, for the most part, not 100%, but for the most part, is sending significant amounts of armaments and weapons to Israel. Can you comment on that, or can you elaborate upon what's happening on that front?
Generally speaking, most of the requests of Israel been respond positively by the U.S. So the delivery formally is continued. Still, there is always gap between decision and the motivation of the chain of operation underway. So the timeline doesn't necessarily follow the needs. There is few things that challenging Israel when it comes to long war. Let's speak about the durability of the soldier and the ability of calling reservists for hundreds of days. I mean, so far the spirit of the IDF is high, and there is no problem to recruit reservists. I would not say no problem, but most battalions that been called to serve showed and operate with high motivation at the north and Gaza Strip so far. But we're about to cross a year with soldiers that serve over 300 days. Next year, it's going to be a huge challenge to call the reservists. Not to speak about the active soldiers that are, there is limited ability of human being not asleep and to be under pressure for that long. And that's one challenge. The other challenge is ammunition. Ammunition is not only lay on the motivation of the U.S. to send it, is also depend on the ability to produce it. In some part, It takes years, 2 to 3 years to bring back the storages to the place it should be. I don't want to get deep into the agreement. Part of the agreement are involving the preposition concept. Preposition, it's storages of the U.S. or the Middle East or anywhere in the world. It's controlled and owned by the U.S., but it's located in Israel. So if there is a strategic or emergency needs, I would say, it would take hours to release this ammunition and not days or weeks. So we find a way to bypass and control most of the request of most of the obstacle, and at least the IDF request from the US was and the support. But yeah, I mean, that will continue to be an issue, Steve. It's not the fact that Minister Gallant signed agreement in the Pentagon didn't, solve all the needs and all the problems of the IDF, especially when it comes to the other direction that take us to full-scale war or regional war.
In the event there would be a full-scale war, and again, we don't anticipate that's going to happen, but as you've taught us literally from day one, it's a fragile situation. The fact that it's a fragile situation, it could happen at any time, any moment. Right now, and I don't know if this is something that can be spoken about, but right now, does Israel have 70, 80, 90% of what it needs for a full-scale war? Can you share with us a sense of where that is?
I won't get to numbers, but Israel all the time jungle between the 7 arenas and make sure that no matter what going to happen, they're going to be ready to welcome any acceleration or any change in the status of the war. So Israel ready to defend itself against attack from Hezbollah or from the Iranian without getting into percentage. No matter what happened during the war, we always been ready. We could be better prepared. And the whole discussion is about being better prepared.
Thank you. General Padan, I want to give you the last word. If there's any thoughts you have moving forward over the course of the next couple of days, over the course of the next week, should we be prepared for probably a sustained effort on behalf of the Hezbollah to strike further south like they did last night, Israel time like they did this morning? What should we be looking at or be preparing for?
So I would speak from the perspective of the FIDF. I'll take us back to the FIDF and our challenge to support the well-being of the men and women that serve. And I would say that Muriel Bavich, our chairman, and I met the MOD last week, the MG of the MOD, the General Eyal Zamir, and he spoke about two major things that he's dealing with on a daily basis. One, we spoke about ammunition and make sure that the IDF prepared to welcome any develop in the war. And the other, which he spoke is the first priority, I mentioned as the first priority of the MOD, is the spirit of the men and women that serve. From treating injuries, soul and body, counter PTSD and treating the wounded soldier, bereaved families, and to the motivation and the recharge of the soldier of the IDF, reservists and active duty. He mentioned again and again how significantly important it is, and for him as the one that runs the Ministry of Defense of Israel is the first priority. So I don't want to get into details right now because we don't have the time to elaborate about it, but we 70% of our discussion were about project and the way of FIDF involvement. It was so thankful for what the FIDF did, not only by providing the center for the IDF and the cooperation with Sheba Hospital, but also because what we did is help Israel bureaucracy cross the Rubicon. and it initiated a lot of other projects that support the needs of almost 25,000 soldiers that need those kind of support. His deputy shared with us that the MOD already got over 20,000 formal requests to support when it comes to counter PTSD. So we were very accurate with the statistic at the beginning, and what we did so far, doing amazing job, and we'll have to accelerate it with American that serve as lone soldier or came from the U.S. to fight in Israel and came back to the U.S. with lone soldier, and with other. We are running right now project with cooperation with other organizations like Nefesh B'Nefesh and other, and we'll find a way to support the soldier and the lone soldier that come from the U.S. and other places. That's going to be the next challenge. So those challenges are our main focus. Regardless, this main focus will continue with all our amazing projects, which each one of them are more needed and makes different in a way that could happen only in time of crisis, in time of war.
Yeah, on that note that General Padan made, General Padan and myself, we spoke with our participants just a few weeks ago that there's a request for 1,000 scholarships, 1,000 full scholarships plus spending money in terms of room and board, etc., for the soldiers who fought in this war. We're talking about soldiers that are either coming from poverty or coming from lower middle class income families. In the course of the last couple of weeks, we've been able to procure over 400 of those scholarships. We still need 600 scholarships. If anyone is interested, if anyone would be willing to support, you're literally adopting a new member of your family by funding this young man or this young woman's education. Please email me, steve.weil, steve.weil at FIDF.org, at FIDF.org. We're looking again for 600 more scholarships. That's one request. We still have incredible requests that we need to fulfill for the bereaved families, the orphans, the widows, the younger siblings of those who've lost a brother or sister at war. And we've committed about $26 million to those programs. We can go into details. We need support for that. And as the Major General mentioned, we've committed almost $90 million, $89.5 million towards the PTSD, towards the early detection, the therapies of these soldiers. And there are real opportunities there. Anyone who gives to the PTSD, gives to the scholarships, or anyone who gives to the programs for the bereaved families, 100% goes to those needs. There is no overhead. We as an organization do have overhead like any other organization. We're very proud that less than 1% of all American charities for the last 12 years have gotten the highest rating from Charity Monitor. We are one of those organizations. But for these particular programs, there is no overhead. And we are looking for very significant amounts of support. If anyone has an interest, please feel free to email me. You've heard it from the Major General. This past week, one of the reasons he's in Israel, he's meeting with the CEO, General Zamir, of the Defense Ministry, the one who runs the Defense Ministry, that has these needs, that does not have budgets for those needs. That's the role that we play. And we could use your support. Your gracious support is desperately needed. And we're very grateful to anyone who would want to participate.
Yeah, Steve, I totally agree. I mean, we as the friends of the Israeli Defense Forces could not say no to a soldier that fought for almost a year in Gaza and put himself in huge risk for all of us. We could say no to him. I mean, to give him scholarship is the friend of the IDF total victory.
Major General Padan, any last thoughts?
I told you from the very beginning that I'm very optimistic about the future of Israel. I just met today a group of young soldiers. I've heard from them about their fight, about their motivation to go back to Gaza Strip. They are in recharge period of time. and you hear this young man and woman, you fill yourself with energy that and promise that the future of the Jewish people are in good hands. The only thing that we have to do as friend of the IDF is make sure that the door is open for them. We have to open the door. They'll know where to go.
Thank you very much. To those participating, obviously we had planned to have a very fascinating discussion with Professor Mordechai Kedar. That will push off to next week. But right now there's a very, very urgent situation in Israel. And we want to thank the Major General, not only for the briefing, but for his analysis, for his insights, to give us a perspective. General, for you, for the Army, please stay safe and secure. And thank you for everything that you're doing to protect the Jewish people, that you're doing to protect Israel. And as we all know, those participating on this briefing, Israel is the canary in the coal mine. What happens with Israel ultimately is going to shape what happens with Western civilization. We can't thank you enough.